everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today I am filming a video that I haven't managed to make many notes on. Yesterday I was all fired up to make a video like this, but it was too late in the day, so I decided to wait until today. And today I'm having one of those days where my brain just feels half empty. I'm just like really distracted. A symptom of lockdown, I think. There's been many days when my brain's been working at half capacity, but I am going to try and film this video anyway because otherwise that would be a waste of makeup, wouldn't it? I've got a new lipstick on today. So, if you're not on Twitter, and if you're not on the cliquey world of illustration Twitter, then you might not have heard of some recent goings-on that have been happening on there. There's basically been some illustrators who have come out against a British publishing company, and it's led to this ongoing discussion with various illustrators disclosing their experience working with this publishing house over the years. And there's been a lot of illustrators saying that it isn't much of a surprise. There's been this reputation around this publishing company. It's no-brow, by the way. I'm just going to say that it's no-brow because they've made like a public statement about this on their website, so you can look them up and read that if you want to. These illustrators have been coming forward and sharing some really low rates of pay. Obviously these are all anecdotal. You have to bear that in mind when you're looking at this kind of stuff. I don't have any personal experience with working with them. Here comes my doggy dog to make my audio all snuffly. Hello, hello, hello. Do you want to be in this video? Have you got something to say about illustration? The world of illustration? And how we can stand up for ourselves? I don't have any personal experience working with this publishing house, but I did know of them because they make beautiful books, first and foremost, and they work with some of the best illustrators in the business. So it was quite shocking to hear from some of these illustrators that I really do admire, who have gone on to do great things. My mic is down here, so you're really going to hear a lot of snuffling from Quentin. Sorry about that. Anyway, my doggy, 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 doggy. I just love you so much. You're so snuggly. Probably got Quentin moustache now. It was quite shocking to hear how little some of them were paid for various pieces of work, especially when you consider how important the work of these illustrators is to the success of this publishing house, because it is the labour and the creative work of these illustrators that has made this publishing house successful. Obviously there's a lot more that goes into publishing books. There's the whole marketing side of things, there's editing, there's art direction, that kind of thing. Obviously those things are really important, but without the talents of these illustrators there wouldn't be a publishing industry like this, and it's quite shocking to see how underpaid they are, really. There are two sides to the story, and I'm not necessarily making this video to call out no-brow, because obviously I don't have any affiliation with them. I've never worked with them, I don't know them, and I don't know how true all of these experiences that have been shared are, although some of them are screenshots of emails, so they're obviously likely to be true. I think there's a bit of truth on both sides. There have been illustrators that have come out in support of no-brow and said that they've been great to work with, but I do think they should probably address the situation a little bit better. I will say that it does leave me with a little bit of a bitter taste to read all of those stories and to read all of those experiences and to then read the statement that followed. I just don't really feel like there was much compassion or space for learning within that. So the reason that I'm bringing up this instance is because it kind of leads on from a video that I made a couple of months ago, all about my 10 years as a freelance illustrator and how I'm feeling about the current state of the industry, which, spoiler alert, is not that great, not that positive. So yeah, I just wanted to talk a little bit more about that, and also talk about some things that have been keeping me going and some things that I feel like we can work together on to improve our industry, and to stand up for ourselves, because that is one thing that I'm really proud of with my channel. I've been told a few times that the content that I make has empowered people to ask for more and to feel like they know more about their industry and what they want to get out of it and how to talk to clients and that kind of thing. So I want to just keep that conversation going a little bit. So what are some ways that you can stand up for yourself as an illustrator, and what are some things that I feel like need to change in our industry? I think first of all, we need way more transparency. I often get emails from illustrators who are wanting help with pricing, who in their own words say they have absolutely no idea of what sort of thing to charge for this particular job, or whether it's normal to be offered this kind of price. I just feel like there's not enough straight up, easy to look at information about the world of illustration and about how to conduct a freelance illustration career. I kind of feel like the educational system has got a little bit too answerful with that. There are so many illustration courses, so many illustration graduates, and so many that graduate without knowing enough about the business side of illustration. I'm going to leave a list of books that I always recommend if you want to get the basics of understanding more about the illustration industry, but also I feel like that's not enough transparency. I think illustrators really need to be talking more about their experiences working with different clients and about how much they earn, how much they were able to negotiate with different clients. But I understand that there's a level of fear with that, because you don't want to be seen as, well, for me personally, the reason why I'm not as transparent as I could be about my business is for a few reasons. The first one is mostly to do with how I appear to clients. So I don't want them to think that I'm just going to suddenly divulge all of the information that we've talked about during our working relationship. Finished? I want them to know that I still value the privacy within our working relationship, and I'm not just going to divulge every single thing that we email to each other about a particular commission. I often wonder whether that's something to do with me being a woman as well. I don't want to seem like I'm difficult. I feel like it's a fine line between being difficult and being assertive. It's something that I think a lot of professional women struggle with, probably professional men too. There has been some data that shows that men are able to obtain and negotiate and even be offered higher rates of pay than female freelancers. At the same time, I don't know why I have that fear, because I feel like after 10 years I do know what's appropriate and what things should be kept under wraps, what things are okay to share. If I'm really thinking about it, one of the things that I do think is okay to share is fees, because it's quite normal to know different salaries, for example, for different job roles. Why can't it be more publicly known what illustrators are earning and what they're charging for different things, and also what different budgets are available for different projects? I feel like it would help everyone all around, but definitely it would help illustrators, because there'll be none of that confusion. Another reason why I am not as transparent as I could be is for fear of judgment within the illustration world. I worry that I'm not charging enough sometimes. I worry that I'm accepting low work, and I know that I definitely have in the past, because, well, why does anyone accept low pay? It's mostly that you're in a pinch, isn't it, and you need to take that work on. It's mostly because you get a sense that you don't feel like you'll be able to negotiate for any more. Sometimes it's because you're just exhausted with negotiating and you just feel like, okay, fine, I'll just do this one time. And negotiating for every single job that comes through does really get exhausting. Disclosing how much I'm earning isn't easy either, because I'm worried that maybe I'm not practicing what I preach as much as I could be. Maybe that would be other people's perception if they knew how much I was earning. Hopefully this video goes some way towards starting the thought process about transparency and different ways we can be more transparent with each other within the industry. It would definitely help to make things more consistent, to understand more about industry standards, to help new illustrators as well, because I feel like the only way that I've become better at pricing is simply through experience. It's nothing more than that. I know starting out I was so baffled and so confused about what to charge, because you don't have anything to base it off. So if there was a way that illustrators can be more transparent with how much they're earning, how much they're charging for different projects, I feel like some of that confusion for new illustrators would go away. We wouldn't have so many new illustrators undercutting each other. Speaking of fear, I do think we've got to find a way to be less fearful, because that timid nature of illustrators, I'm generalising completely here, but I know a lot of us are more on the introverted and shy and timid side of things. That introversion and that timidness does work in the favour of clients who can swoop in, offer you something low, tell you that they're not going to negotiate, show you a contract, say that there's no way that contract can be amended, and because of our timid nature, we will accept. And I do think we've got to try and learn to shake off some of that. At the end of the day, it's meaning that we're being paid less. I speak to a lot of illustrators online, and I know, again, I'm really generalising, but I feel like we have a lot of the same kind of personality traits, which I think is normal for every profession that you go into. There's going to be similarities that have attracted us to this particular role. Maybe we need to be thinking about that. Maybe we need to be thinking, am I being too timid here? Am I being too nice here? Is there a way that I can kind of turn up the dial of my ruthlessness? I'm wording things in a really weird way today. Is there a way that we can be more assertive and get what we actually deserve? I think especially as a lot of the work happens via email, I know personally I find that much easier to manage, and I find it much easier to be assertive. I've learned that it really is worth having that back and forward discussion with clients, that negotiation stage that feels quite unpleasant when you're in it. When you've made a query and you're waiting for a response from a client and you feel like they're never going to respond back, that unpleasant back and forth is so crucial, and I think it's a part that some illustrators are not focusing enough on. It's just business, isn't it? It's just switching on your business brain for a bit just to get that part over with, and then we can get to the nice part, which is obviously the painting and the drawing and the making of the illustrations. But the business side of it is so important if we want to maintain this as an actual job role and not something people just do as a hobby, as a side hustle. I hate that word. But you know what I mean. I have actually made a video on negotiating. It's one that hasn't been viewed very much, I think because the thumbnail's a little bit shit, but I will leave that linked in the cards and down below in the description if you want to go watch that. This might only apply to more experienced illustrators, but I feel like trusting your instincts is really important, and it's something that I have been noticing more, that I am trusting my instincts, and if something seems too good to be true, it usually is. If someone is being a little bit shady, seems to be withholding certain pieces of information, my instincts highlight that to me pretty early on, and I address that as quickly as I can. And this doesn't only apply to pricing or contracts, it also applies to your time. Something really important to remember as much as you can is that you aren't paid to email back and forth. Bear in mind that you do not have any of the benefits that the person, most likely you don't have any of the benefits that the person emailing you has. You don't have a salary, you don't have paid sick leave, paid holiday. You also have to pay for your expenses for your business, which salaried people don't have to. And so if there is a lot of back and forth and you don't seem to be able to get to the bottom of it, and you're wanting clarity and transparency because you don't have time to be going back and forth emailing or having phone calls, try to be more upfront about that, and try to be as assertive as you can be. I feel like just being really upfront about your situation helps. It's helped me a few times. So I've just explained, look, I'm not paid to be on video calls, so I would really appreciate if you could answer my questions here in this email, so then I can decide whether scheduling a video call would be a good idea, for example. I'm just really upfront about that kind of stuff. I explain my situation as a freelancer. I have less of the benefits that someone in full-time employment has within a company. I have to factor in the costs of my business and my studio and working environment into my fees. I have to factor in my education that I'm paying off and the years that I've spent honing my craft, and that all comes into how much I charge. So sometimes I feel like it's good to remind clients of that, because freelancing is a weird insular occupation that if you're not in it, I guess you don't consider the different factors like that. So yeah, this video is a bit directionless, but really all I wanted to bring up is just this question of how we can start standing up for ourselves a little bit better than we have been before, and how that will help improve our industry as a whole. I want it to be a place that feels more inclusive than it currently does. I feel like the low rates of pay and the competition and the elusiveness of our working practices, and I guess the lack of support that we have as freelancers floating in this world of employment, I feel like that stops a lot of people from becoming illustrators, and it makes a lot of people quit or have terrible experiences or be exploited. And I'd love to change that, not just because it would make my job more enjoyable, but because it would make the illustration industry better. And I think we should start thinking about the industry rather than just thinking about our own separate little careers, because all of our careers are linked up. The illustration world is very small. If we link up in some way as illustrators, I think that would overall improve the whole industry. So there are some things that you can do actually along those lines. There's some really great Twitter accounts that I will leave linked that share a lot of information. You could also get an illustration agent, which would help protect your rights. They would then be the person that would be negotiating for you. There are positives and negatives to having an illustration agent. I feel like there are good ones, there are bad ones, in the same way that there are good and bad clients to work with. So you'll have to do your own research on that. I don't have much experience. There's also a couple of really great pricing websites that I found. There's a Twitter account called Let's Talk Pricing, and they also have a Facebook group, which is a great place where illustrators are sharing their fees. And there's also a really great site I found recently called Lightbox. And they also have a database of rates and details about different commissions and working with particular clients, so you can learn more about working with particular clients through going to that site. There's also a union called the Society of Authors, and I knew about them, I heard about them a while ago, but I didn't realise that they also are for illustrators. So they're for illustrators, authors and literary translators. So that's a really good place to go if you are looking for lots more help and support, and it's a place that I'm going to go actually. I am considering joining and becoming part of that movement. I do feel like it's the only way we're going to improve our industry is if we unionise and we work together to get better standards of work. So yeah, if you're completely new to illustration and you don't know much about pricing, definitely check those things out and definitely just get as much information about different illustration work that's available and typical prices within that, because knowledge is power at this point. The more you know, the more confident you can be in quoting for different jobs and negotiating and things like that, and knowing your worth as well. So yeah, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. What do you think are some ways that illustrators can do better at sticking up for themselves? And also let me know some things that you think I could be doing better in terms of transparency, and I'll try my best to get on that. I really hope you enjoyed this video. I really hope you've been keeping well, and I'm sorry that this video is a bit jumbled and all over the place. Thank you to my patrons for supporting this channel and supporting the work that I do. At the moment and always, but especially at the moment, my patrons have really been helping me to carry on my freelance business. I'll leave links to that. I'll leave links to my other social media in the description, and yeah, thanks for watching and I'll see you again soon. Bye!